But guys, are you ready to kind of just jump into it?
Yeah, man, totally. Let's do
I
it.
bet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ayoo Chill podcast. Before we get started with the podcast today, I just want to make a quick shout out to my boy Ant Murph, because without you, this wouldn't be possible.
For Ant.
But guys, cheers to Ant.
Cheers to Ant.
But guys, take a couple seconds, minutes, let the people know who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, totally. I'm Mike Capilouti. I'm 1/4 of Moonwater. I grew up in Marlboro, New Jersey, and now Chris and I live up in Jersey City now. It's been a ton of fun being close to the city. Makes it real easy to go into the city, play some shows, do some songwriting, and living with this guy definitely it holds me accountable to doing both of those things. So
sick, dude. Yeah, I know running a band is like fucking crazy, and it's wild because it's gonna be like a different dynamic today. Because I think you're the first guest I've had on for this project that I'm doing, June in Jersey, where I have more than one person on.
Right.
So I'll try to ask you guys as equal questions as I can. So you said you're from Marlboro?
Yep.
Where's that in Jersey?
It's in Monmouth County.
Where?
Freehold, like 20 minutes from the shore. So.
Describe the town to me.
You're not missing too much. You know, people like I say I'm from Marlboro. People are like, "Oh, from the cigarette, like the cigarette." I'm like, "Yeah, that's about it though."
You're from Route 9.
Yeah. Route 9's like so long though. Honestly, like there's not a whole lot going on in Marlboro, New Jersey.
Word. And what about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm from Jackson.
He's from Six Flags.
Yeah, Six Flags.
Yeah,
Six Flags.
yeah.
I bet.
I grew up in the Wild Safari.
Did you ever get any discounts for Six Flags or anything like that?
No,
Or
man.
nah?
But like you know how to get like behind the park. Like there's woods behind the park, and like all the kids know how to like go behind the woods and like see into like literally the Wild Safari. Like I could have broken into the Wild Safari if I wanted to.
That's actually sick. I mean,
Sure.
do you know anybody who would or has?
Yeah. There was like kids like every year in high school who would get like arrested because they like broke into the Wild
Damn,
Safari.
Six Flags, get your shit together, yo.
Yeah,
What
man.
are y'all doing? That's great. Could you ever sneak into the park, or is like that's too much?
I mean, I guess I could have if I really wanted to. Basically, everyone from that town like grows up working there, you know. So like, you get friends who are like, "Yeah, I could sneak you in" or whatever. But
Word. All right, guys. So usually in the beginning of the podcast, I like to ask my guests, like, how their upbringing came and how they came into music. So I guess we'll kind of just start off with you, Mike. Let me know, like, when did music start in your life?
Yeah, totally. And I can give. I'll try to give like the condensed version of the long story, but. It was funny when I was 5 years old. I was in my my family friend's basement, and I was smashing my fists on a piano as hard as I could, like just as like a 5-year-old does,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember, my much older family friend says, "Mike, like you can't touch it unless you know how to play it." And instinctively, I was like, "Well, like fuck that! I want to learn how to play like piano then." And this thing was sitting in their basement collecting dust. Literally, like a couple of weeks later, they were kind enough to ship the piano over to me. It was, this like older beat up piano that's like still in the family now.
That's sick.
And yeah, like I started taking lessons ever since. So I guess I was taking lessons for 5 years, kind of hit a crossroads at like 11, 12 years old where I was like, do I want to like study to be like a virtuoso like piano player, or do I want to like learn more about theory and writing and maybe take on some other instruments? So like hitting that crossroads, like really dove into, I guess singing and performing and like trying to like figure out a dynamic with a band. I was in this like really shitty, it was unintentionally like a Green Day cover band.
Word.
And when I say unintentionally, I was like, guys, can we do anything besides Green Day? And it was like, so I was like, well, like, I'd love to make some original music, kind of thing. But like, I played my first show when I was 11 or 12 years old at the Marlboro Rec Center. There were 60 people there. It was like the fucking craziest day of my life. All just like friends and family, of course.
No, that's sick.
But
Like, when you have that experience when you're little, like it gives you like this like rock star rush. You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah. And then like, so I guess like just getting like a little taste of like the excitement around music. I was like in and out of some different pop rock bands in high school. And when I was around, I think it was probably 13 or 14 years old, we did a battle of the bands based out of Asbury Park. And we won a spot to perform at the Bamboozle Music Festival in Asbury.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
And, it was like some super cool people playing. It was like Bon Jovi and Skrillex and Gaslight Anthem and like whatever, like all these like bigger national acts. So like being able to play at that festival and kind of like, get a taste of like these like 1,000 people like crowds was super exciting, So like it definitely kind of like gave me the itch to keep going. And got a lot more into songwriting and performing, through college. And then after college, like was fortunate enough to meet this guy and the rest of the band, and it's been history ever since. Been a ton of fun.
Sick, sick, sick. So what did you go to college for?
So I went to school for marketing,
I bet.
and I always tell people like what going to school for marketing taught me is that we don't really need marketers anymore. We need like creative people, because algorithms will do marketing better than people can. I had a professor in college who swore that the most effective way to market was billboards and magazines.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that one, yeah. But definitely a lot of relevant things too, like being in a band and like I guess having to market yourself and put yourself out there. And I definitely don't regret it. I went to Seton Hall University.
Oh, word. Yeah, yeah,
There wasn't a big music presence on campus at all.
Yeah.
Which at first I was like, oh well, like I guess that kind of sucks. But then on the flip side, it was like anytime anybody on campus needed like anything music related, like myself and a couple of friends were getting involved. So I was performing a lot. It was fun for what it was.
And your main instrument is still the piano, or?
Yeah, it's piano. Like I think my interest has really shifted over the years into like sound synthesis and keyboarding.
Sick.
Like we joke about it, but Chris and I will just like spend hours just turning knobs and just like waiting for like something to sound good. It's really what it is,
Yeah, dude. No, I could definitely relate, man. I'm a sound engineer, so
Yeah.
twisting knobs and just fucking around with equipment is like my favorite thing to do. So, what about you, Chris? Let me know like what your beginnings of music was like for you.
Yeah, I don't have nearly as cool of a story as Mike. There's like no music whatsoever in my family, but my parents love music, and there was always music on around the house, and they also liked getting like live DVDs. So I'd be growing up watching like Bruce Springsteen live and like the Eagles live.
That's sick.
I would just watch those, and I would just sit there and watch the concerts. And I think for my 12th birthday, I got a guitar. And I was like, I don't really want to take lessons, Mom. I kind of just want to like have the guitar. And she was like, no, like if I'm buying you a guitar, like you're going to take lessons. And I guess that's where I learned that I'm just like a obsessive person when I'm interested in something. And from there, it just turned into wanting to learn how to be good at the guitar and wanting to learn how to play the songs that I liked and wanting to be like the people I watched on the DVDs. And, I was definitely in some like bands in middle school and high school where I would kind of be the one being like, let's play these songs. I wrote this song. Can you guys do this? And like nobody's nearly as, taking it seriously as me. I went to Berklee College of Music,
Sweet.
where I majored in songwriting and studio engineering.
Oh shit. Good.
So going there really opened up my eyes because I had a very closed. I didn't get to experience a lot of musical things from where I grew up. So being able to meet all those people who were way more talented than me and anyone else I had ever met at the time really kind of helped open up my mind. Came back from Berklee, was teaching in Asbury, met Mike, and from there we've been...
Lightning struck.
Yeah, we've been doing this.
That's sick. So before we get into how you and Mike met, do you remember your first performance, like, playing the guitar in front of a crowd?
Yeah, it was a high school talent show. I was playing with a friend of mine who was a great singer, and we already had like a rehearsed song. It was like a secondhand serenade song or something. Dating myself like 10 years ago. And then like 2 nights before the talent show, she's like, I was doing a second song, but the girl who's supposed to play guitar for that song's bailing. Can you do it? And it was Lazy Song by Bruno Mars. So I learned how to play that song, and that was first in the talent show. So I had like a night to learn how to like play and memorize that song, and that was the first time I performed. And then the second time that night I performed was that secondhand serenade song that I was much more confident in, but that was it.
How'd that first performance go? Did it go all right? Because I know like that fucking, I remember in high school, playing those talent shows, playing anything and playing in front of your peers is like one of the hardest shits to do.
I guess I was fortunate in that I went to a really big high school, so that way our auditorium was like a 1,500 person cap room. It wasn't like I was playing in like like a gym or anything. Like it's a big room, and I guess the lighting is just so good in there that like I could not see anything in front of me. So that was kind of like, oh man, like this is crazy.
Like,
But
were you nervous about it?
I'm sure I was, but like at the same time, I was like, this is like what I've always wanted to do, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because like I remember I got a piece of really great advice the first time that I ever played a show. I wish I honestly I wish I know who gave me this advice, but it was something to the effect of like when you go on stage, like people want you to be good because nobody likes that feeling where like the person on stage sucks and like they're feeling uncomfortable. You know, like people want you to be good enough where it's like enjoyable.
Yeah.
Where like they don't feel weird about it. And I was like on stage, I remember like the first time I opened my mouth to like sing a first lyric on stage, I was like, all right, people want me to sound good because they don't want to feel uncomfortable, you know? And like that was it. Like after that, like that first show on Nerves, it's like it's just been so much fun.
It's
like,
also
since then.
different when you're just like playing the guitar because like I'm confident myself as a guitar player.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I know I'm a good guitar player, but like the first time I sang in front of people was senior year. That might have been like sophomore or junior year. That was like way more nerve wracking for me because I had never like sang in front of like anyone before.
It's still so crazy to me that like you started playing guitar at 12.
Yeah.
Like I actually just think like Chris is like the best guitar player I've ever seen my whole life.
It's insane sometimes how you just pick shit up, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
yeah,
people
yeah.
get used to it, you know, like sometimes even people who started at a young age, they don't even get up. Like I really feel it's the passion behind you
Right,
really
totally.
loving music to get better, you know? My background in music is I started playing the euphonium in 8th grade.
Nice.
That's sick.
Yeah, and then I got decently good pretty quick that I was able to like audition for like bands around the state.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting like second chair, third chair. I think there was only one. I think the highest I ever got was like second chair or whatever, right? But it was just like I loved it so much at the time. But it was mostly because like I'm an immigrant kid, so it was like I needed something to get me a scholarship in the school.
Sure,
or else,
sure,
like,
sure.
I didn't want my parents to suffer, and that's what ended up happening, you know. So,
Right.
you know, but I don't play euphonium as much as I should now. You know what I
Right.
mean, I try to like fiddle around here and there, but like
Totally.
if anything, more of my gig is now singing. But both of you sing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Word. So, and do you both like sing in the band? Is the lead singer here, or
Yeah.
you're the lead singer?
I mean, like
you look like a lead singer, low key.
He's got that diva. He's got that diva energy.
the thing is like it's like I don't know why like you were like, oh, do you sing? And I was like, yeah, because like I've never called myself like a singer. Honestly, like it really was just like
Whenever somebody asks if I sing, I go, technically everybody can sing. Whether you
Right.
sound good or not is another question.
Right,
but, like,
exactly.
everybody's a singer.
Yeah.
like it's like genuinely like a fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like it really is, and like your voice changes. And like when we started this band, I was like basically exclusively doing like this super breathy, folky singer songwriter kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like very John Mayer-ish, like whatever. And then like now I like scream like on stage,
Nice.
He's belting all the time.
like literally like I'm like the blood is like rushing to my head like every show.
Because I used to say every time we first started writing, I'm like, we just got to get him like, we got to break him out of that shell. I would say that every time.
So it's just
Not
like
to- not
it's
to
just
him, though, to the
conditioning.
other guy.
Right. It's conditioning.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. You know, singing and like developing your voice too. I feel like it's a constant process, and especially when you're building a band and you're making different songs, and you know you kind of want to get the vibe right for each song. You know, but tell me how you guys. So you guys said you finished college and you met him when you were teaching out in Asbury, right? So what were you doing out in Asbury? It wasn't for that bamboozle thing, right? Or
No. So that was like years before. I mean, I grew up loving Asbury Park. Like being in and out of bands, like you know that was kind of like where you go to play.
yeah,
Chris and I met through like a mutual friend. Like we were jamming, trying to like work on some ideas for a band. And you know, dude, like it's just it's so funny. Like I love telling this story. It's like literally like I didn't know Chris. I just knew his name. I didn't know anything else about him. Like he like comes into my basement. We're jamming on like the song that we were working on, and literally within like 90 seconds, like starts playing something, and I'm just like, this was like the person in music that like I was supposed to like meet in my life. And like even to date, like that riff that he started playing, like that's like still like the riff that like stuck in that song. And I don't know. It's like the thing is that I feel like with music, it's really easy to you had said something earlier to the effect of like, you know, the people that are really passionate about it, like really like cultivate it and they get really good. And it's like I feel like you can distinguish between like who's really like talented and just like has it and like who's like going through the motions of doing it, and like
Yeah.
this fucking guy just like has it, you know what I mean? And like yeah, I knew that within 2 minutes of knowing him. And like ever since, like, you know, like musically just on the same page about like so much, and it's just been so I mean, how many years has it been now? 3, 4
I think
years.
we started in the beginning of like 2019 or end of 2018. I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
It was
Shit, so you guys are like relatively like, I wouldn't say new, but I mean like if you're talking about the years and stuff like that, I mean it's not like you've known each other like 10 plus years.
No.
It's like sick.
Totally.
Sick. So,
And it really is such like a relationship, you know, like it really is. It's like just like
a creative.
like writing is like an emotionally vulnerable thing to do, you know.
yeah, for sure.
Like it needs to be a safe space to like share ideas, and you know, again, we're always turning knobs, doing like weird shit, and like, you know, maybe sometimes that's like it's scary to suggest something that is weird, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
no, for sure. I mean, like, I think writing music, yeah, like you said, is the most vulnerable you could really get between like anything, because like you're literally giving your feelings out, and especially like growing up, like actually, this is a perfect topic. Growing up with other musicians, like I grew up with classical musicians, and I think the classical world is so fucking behind
It's
on the
judgmental.
Yeah, it's just mental as
Yeah.
fuck, bro. Like I told you, I was playing in these honors bands around the state, right? And these kids would ask me, they were like, "Oh, like how much are you paying for lessons?" And I would just be like, "Yo, I don't fucking know." Like I barely me and my private teacher at the time, we kind of had a deal where like I would clean his house, mow his lawn, do his garden and shit because I couldn't afford lessons, right? So I'd kind of pay through that,
bartered.
and then like halfway, and then my mom would cover like the other half that like, you know, that I didn't pay for, and then like we kind of went that way, right? So and on top of it, it's like, oh, like do you know Bach? Do you know this shit? Do you know like do you know your Mixolydian, Lydian fucking? I was like, I don't fucking know, bro. I just started. Like what the fuck, you know what I mean? But I could play, you know what I mean? I had the passion behind it.
Absolutely.
And it's so vulnerable to do that, you know, and get there in front of people and play and really get, you know, the emotions back. So when you guys both met, right? It was it you two who then started Moonwater, or
Yeah, Mike had a lot of songs kind of like already written, and I kind of have like a knack for wanting to produce things all the time. So I think that was like the perfect combination. Was he's like, I don't know, you had like 5 or 6 songs already, just like written on a guitar or piano. And I was like, okay, well, if we want to be like a rock band, like then we got to start doing this. And I think that's what kind of like really felt like it was the perfect connection, because he already had songs and he's a great songwriter. And I was like, I like producing things and I like making guitar riffs. And that's kind of how it just jumped off with like these 5 songs that already existed as skeletons and just needed to be built up to a band.
sweet. So how did the other 2 members of Moonwater, like how did you guys meet them?
Well, Eric was next, so let's talk about Eric.
yeah, so Eric was a buddy of mine from college.
Sweet. And he's the
bassist.
Sweet. All right, bet.
Yep. Again, small music community at Seton Hall, so like was really like clinging to like people that like, you know, demonstrated like an interest in that kind of stuff. So was excited to bring him in, and then Kay.
Yeah, so we started rehearsing now, like us and Eric in Mike's basement with like the Logic drummer. I would like make like Logic drummer tracks to play along to.
That's great.
And then
So
we're
funny.
like, we were like, I think we already had the show at Seton Hall booked. And we were like, we need a drummer. And I was like, I kind of work with a guy who's like a sick drummer. Maybe I can ask Kay.
Yeah.
And maybe that might not exactly be it, but like I knew a guy named Kay who was our current drummer. Also went to Berkeley. Also was teaching at the same place in Asbury as me. And I was like, hey, dude, you have any interest in being in a band? He's like, yeah, when? Where? And I was like, we got like a show coming up. He's like, yeah, when? Where? And
That's fucking perfect. Oh my God.
He came and, I don't know, we maybe practiced like 2 times before that show? Like,
Super talented dude.
That's
Kay
textbook.
Kay is an amazing musician. As is Eric. We're both they're both so easy to work with. They just you know, are able to immediately catch on to what we throw at them, and also able to tell us that like this shit sucks if it's not up to, you know, the standard that we try to keep for ourselves. So
Sweet.
Totally.
Sweet. That's great. So you had your drummer's name was
Kay.
goes by Kay.
All right, Kay. All right, bet. Yo, shout out Kay. I'll meet you one day, dude.
Oh,
That's
hell
all.
Yeah, dude.
So So you did you for that show in Seton Hall? That was Kay's first show, and did you already have the bassist by then as well?
It was all of our first shows.
Yeah, it was all of our first show. Yeah.
Sick. So describe that to me. That first like energy between you guys playing. What did you guys play? Some originals, some covers.
Yeah, so funny. I love telling this story, and Chris is gonna roll his eyes. But like the first song, like Chris's guitar was just like totally broken. Like there was like a
My pedal board was like fucked up. I had like bad cables.
yeah, like something wasn't like plugged in properly, and it was just like the whole song he was like messing with it. But like I was just like laughing my ass off. Like I thought it was so funny. But like what I'll never forget about that show was they were like, all right guys, like I'm gonna go up and introduce you. What's your name? And we were like,
We didn't even have a band name at the time.
we have no idea.
were not-
Whatever we said, we were not Moonwater.
We were not Moonwater.
But yeah, man, so much fun. And it was cool to like go back like to Seton Hall too and do it. Like I had finished up school a year early, so I still like knew like a bunch of like people that were there, and it was just very funny to go from like always doing this like again like sleepy singer songwriter stuff to like this like super high energy, like we're jumping all over the place, like kind of like rock set.
It's funny because I mean that's what we do now. We jump all over the place, but that show we were not jumping all over the place. We didn't have our stage presence yet. We were kind of just like standing there. It was like 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
afternoon.
I believe it.
Oh, it's 4 o'clock in the. That's a rough time to kind of like play. Too.
It was.
Or was there a good crowd?
It was a good crowd because it
energy?
was like a spring fling or something.
Oh, yeah, like one of those college like type of spring, like yeah.
It was like some like carnival like going on or something.
Sweet. So what songs did you guys play that in that show? Do you remember or?
So I'll never forget this one song was like, so Seton Hall is funny. It's like it's a pretty Catholic school. I'm not a particular religious guy,
neither.
but like they gave me a decent scholarship or whatever. I was like, yeah, sure, like we'll go.
Money talks.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Fuck
took like religion of the world for like whatever. I was like, and when you perform at Seton Hall, you have to sign something that says like the messages in our music are going to abide by the Catholic mission, which is like don't talk about sex, don't talk about drugs, don't talk about alcohol.
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what all of our songs are about.
And like it did like I just signed it. I was like, yeah, like whatever, like, and then we're like, all right, the next song is "Sex on Fire" by Kings of Leon, and I was like, oh, like fuck, like, we didn't think this one thoroughly, did we? Yeah, I just love like there definitely were a couple administrators that were just like frowning during that song, but
But we did do a couple songs that eventually went to be released. We did Ghosts. We did
Yeah.
Mary Jane.
and they asked us back.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
we did all right.
I guess we didn't violate the Catholic mission all that much.
Enough.
Not
Yeah,
enough.
Not enough. To
We were
be
still in our
invited back.
Sunday best.
That means you guys were rocking.
Oh, yeah.
You liked you. Get you guys back.
Shout out Seton Hall. Have us back.
Shout out Seton Hall,
Thanks,
yo.
Seton Hall.
So, tell me. So, at this point, so you guys are all together. That was you guys' first show. At this point, did you guys know that you guys were gonna stick together, or did it feel like still something new? Like, when did you guys officially become Moonwater?
The Yacht Club show.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, that was the next show.
I mean, I think, and like, keep you honest, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like the Seton Hall show, we had a couple originals, we were doing some covers, but like, I think we knew like we wanted to be an original band, like, and like we were really eager to play shows, but at the same time, like we wanted to make sure that we were making like a good quality like product, like in terms of original songs, and like be able to like have that and like grow like our band on that, like rather than just like playing like some songs that people recognize. So I mean, for me, like when it's so funny because like the timing was like truly pretty awful, but like I really felt like we became a band like when we put our debut release out. We put our first single out March 2nd, 2020, and our EP I think was March 6th, 2020.
Oof.
Yeah, and then we played our show, an EP release show. We like
Or it might have been EP or single came out like the 26th or the 28th.
yeah, you're
EP
right.
second release show. The
Release
6th.
show the 6th. And we played like this sold out show at the St. Asbury Park. Like it was so fun. Like you literally couldn't move at the place. Like there was like a line out the door, like for like when people were exiting, like they were like letting more people in. Like it was like totally packed, like so much fun. And then literally I think like within the next 5 days, like everything was shut down. And like, I would say like all this fun and like all this momentum like that we had was like literally like stopped in its tracks. But like that like taste of like how much fun it was, like really kept us motivated like during the whole pandemic. Like, hey, like, you know, when shit opens back up, like we'll be ready. And yeah, I mean, it's funny because it was short lived. It was like we were like so pumped up, and then like everything kind of stopped. But I think like that's really when it started to feel like Moonwater for me. Like when there was music out into the world where like people were just like singing the songs like after knowing them for like a handful of days. It's just super cool experience.
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick, guys. So where did the name Moonwater come from?
So I love the movie Almost Famous. There's a band in that movie called Stillwater. And when we were talking about band names, I was like, oh, like that's a really cool name. And I was like, well, what about like Moonwater? And then like one of our favorite artists, like has a song where like the word Moonwater is in it, and we're like, all right, that's kind of cool. It's like a little blend of like a little of what we all like. Honestly, it was like band names are hard because like the
band names are fucking difficult.
like the band makes the name cool. You know, like there are some band names that are like objectively like not cool, but like the band makes it interesting. And
one of our biggest influences, The Killers, is probably one of those.
Yeah, The Killers, Foo Fighters, Coldplay, like all these. Like, I mean, I still think Maroon 5 is a shitty name, but like, you know, I don't know. Like, I just feel like there's.
Mind you, it took us like months to come up with a band name, like at least 2 months.
Was there any other names that you guys like remember like almost becoming?
The name that we gave at Seton Hall, we said that we were Kid Orchid.
Kid Orchid, okay.
Which is like, I guess, like a little play on words.
Yeah.
But like that was really short lived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I had a band in high school. I was part of a rock band at one point.
Nice.
And it was very much there was this amazing guitar player. Well, I don't know if I'd say amazing. He knew.
We won't tell him.
He knew how to play like you know the Power Rangers like solo, like guitar solo.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
he just knew how to rip, right?
Yeah.
But that's all he did.
He could shred.
He would just shred. Like whenever
Yeah.
he picked up, he would shred, but that's all he knew, right? And he hated playing slow songs. So whenever he could shred or whenever he could play a solo, he would do it. And I was in a band with him and two other people, and we'd get drummers coming in and out, we'd get bassists coming in and out. And I was there in high school, and like coming back to like how hard it is to come up with band names. I was sitting there, and we're all kind of sitting in this circle, and we're like, damn, what are we gonna call this band, right? And literally what came into my head, I was just like, I'm a very practical type of person, right? So I'm just like, damn. And I was like, well, we're all different, right? Because I was Latino, one guy was from a different country as well, one girl was white, and like we're all kind of just like, oh, well, we're all from different nations, right? And then I thought we're all kind of like weird, like all of us were kind of weird, right? So like I was like, we're kind of off, right? And then I was like, music, beats, right? So I was like, oh, what can I fucking name this? And I was like, off. And I was like, play music, beats. And I was like, we're all from different nations. So we called ourselves Offbeat Nation.
I like
right?
it.
Okay.
And it was cool for a bit, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know if you guys have any stories of like the first embarrassing songs you ever wrote, or I don't know if you guys are prodigies and all your songs.
Oh,
are
definitely
like,
not. Definitely
you know
not.
what I mean?
God, no.
I'll never forget. I had this song that came. Well, it never recorded, thank God.
Damn.
But yeah, no, because if you look at the YouTube, I actually have some performances with that band. It's on YouTube somewhere. But we had this one song. It was called "Shouts of Victory," and I literally just screamed, "Shouts of victory are all my." It was "Shouts of victory is all I know, my friends, until we die." Right? And I just screamed that for like 5 minutes straight.
Let's
And
go.
I think there were like 6 guitar solos in between that. And it was just like, yeah, that was my rock experience.
Hell yeah,
Sounds
dude.
like, it sounds like it'll get me hyped up.
Yeah, no, I'm down. That sounds like so hype.
So do you guys have any like songs that you remember, or like are there any songs that you guys first wrote with like Moonwater that like didn't like make it like at first?
Hell
or?
yeah.
Totally. But like I will say, like one of the reasons why I love working with Chris is because like sometimes when people hear something and it doesn't really align with like what they had in mind, it's like, all right, like we're not gonna do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like Chris is like kind of like cannibalized like so many like songs that were like sleepy folk songs and like made them into Moonwater songs. Like, and yeah, I don't know. Like I've sent songs to Chris that are just like piano ballads that like turn into like singles or songs that we've recorded.
You always got to find the strongest point of a song, and if you can't find one, then you're like, all right, this might not be a song worth looking at. But I feel like there's always something redeemable, and then you just got to figure out how to support it.
But like, I don't know, we're just like big songwriting nerds. So like, I do like that. I'm gonna keep calling it a relationship, like about our relationship, and that like, you know, if something's not there, then it's just like, you know, like, hey, like this isn't the one, or like, you know, maybe there's a part and we take it and, you know, put it in a different song that needed a part. But like, there's been very few times where it's like, you know, no, like we're not going to use this at all. Like it's just like a very like cultivating space, and that like if there's like a good line or like a, you know, a good verse or something like that, we take it and just put it into something else. Like we've got this board at home, which is like all ideas that we have that are in progress.
Oh, that's sick. That's an amazing way. Like, I'm very visual type too. I'll show you guys when we get it back up and when we finish up here. I'll show you in my office like how I have the whole month of June planned for like all the guests that I have coming on.
Sweet.
Because there's nothing like having something visual to see stuff. And even my partner Shane as well. When he used to work at another studio that I used to intern at him for intern there for him, he'd have a whole what do you call it, whiteboard. And it would have like drums, vocals, and he would just like mark down what he mixed. And he would be mixing, I don't even know, like maybe 6 bands at a time. So he'd have like each band like knock down and like say like, okay, I did this mix for the band, this vocal mix for the band. But you know, Chris, why don't you tell me? We'll start off with you with this question. Tell me about your songwriting process, you know, as an individual, and then how that works into going like making music with the band.
Cool, yeah. I'm definitely one of those guys who doesn't have a set way of going about it. Sometimes I come up with, you know, a motif on an instrument that I really like. I kind of just like keep notes in my phone where sometimes I'll just like write down lines that I think could be cool ideas to be turned into songs, or one line of lyric that I think I would like to like build a song around. And yeah, it's like whatever the first like interesting nucleus of a song idea is, that's where I'll stem out from. Sometimes, you know, you just sit down and you're like, I'm just gonna play, and a song finds you, it feels like. But I definitely don't have like a set way. I feel like if I sit down and force it, it sounds that way. So I feel like my songwriting tends to be kind of natural. It'll be like, you know, I think every songwriter can relate to this. Like sometimes you feel like there's no songs in you for months, and then the next week there's like 3 in 4 days, you know? So yeah, that's especially the Moonwater way. So I think Mike and I have a really interesting way of working where we, you know, because I think we trust each other so much as creatives, that like I might just write a whole song by myself and be like, yo, Mike, check this out. And he'll do the same thing for me. We'll be like, yeah, like I love that. That's sick. And then, you know, there might be some fine tuning later on, but I think we both have a really good understanding of like a song being a living, breathing thing, and it has a chance to grow, and something can change and become even better once we bring it to the band. But Mike and I tend to write the songs first, kind of build the skeleton, and then bring it to the band, because it's hard to get 4 guys in a room all at once frequently. So we tend to try and best utilize our time by kind of having a plan and then executing it in the rehearsal space.
And like Chris definitely challenged like the idea. Like I used to be very adamant about the fact that it's like, hey, like ideas to paper, like we're gonna finish it, like even if it's shitty, and like we just need to like have it down. Now it's like not forcing parts. Like if you really like the verse and chorus and you can't think of a bridge, like let it sit there for a couple months until you find it. And I think like that's like having that board with like all these ideas helps, because it's like, you know, if we really like the bridge in that song, we need a bridge in another one, then like that just might be like the solution that we, you know, that we needed. But like I realize the older that I get, like when you rush a song, it sounds rushed. So like you're not really doing anybody any favors like doing that.
No, yeah, for sure, for sure. I think the songwriting process is so hard. I mean, even I used to write music as well. Like I said, I used to be part of a rock band. That was more in high school. After I got out of high school, surprisingly enough, like I joined a hip hop like collective.
Nice, cool.
So like kind of like a Brockhampton type thing.
Yeah.
And we did music for I think almost like 2 years, and that was interesting. But I would always find it so hard because when you get writer's block, it feels like the most like defeating thing ever. And then on top of
Yeah.
it, when you get serious writer's block, I feel like sometimes it kind of leads into depression.
Yeah.
And then like once you get, and it's weird because once you get into that depressive state, it's sometimes it's even harder to write music.
Yeah.
But then I feel like sometimes low key when you're in that state, like
Sometimes some new emotions be popping up.
you know some new emotions be coming out. You be like, oh damn, now I'm gonna write this shit down, and it comes out. Have you guys ever had like a moment where like you were really emotional about something and it comes straight through the song?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we talk about, like, we've spoken about this a lot. Like, I feel like being creative in general. I mean, like, we feel it as songwriters, but I'm sure, like, other folks like feel it in other ways. Like, the highs are really high and the lows are like really low. But like the highs are just like so fun and so awesome that like you kind of just like cling to those little bits in your like 6 months of writer's block. And I think that like it's easy to want to torture yourself out of that. It's like, well, I haven't written a song in 6 months, so like I'm gonna lock myself in this room, like even if it takes me all day and it's the shittiest song ever, like I'm just gonna do it. And like that's basically what I would like try to do. And like the song would sound that way, and like I wasn't feeling any better about it after. I was just maybe a little mentally exhausted. I think like Chris has like definitely helped me to just like, hey, like the idea will come. Like if it's not coming, like, it will, so like not like forcing things, I think ends up being like a little bit better for your mental health.
My emotional processing when I have something that feels like it's traumatizing for me is like I usually don't attack it by running away, but like I'll use some of it and like create a story out of it. I won't like tell my truth. I'll take like one aspect of it that's the truth and then like make a new story out of it. And it's almost like I don't know, you almost like start to see a new side of the story that way, or it feels a little less painful that way, but it still feels like sincere. One of the songs we released on our most recent EP was like one of the first cases where I didn't do it. Our song "What Could Be," I kind of wrote that song when I felt like I was like at a crossroads in my life where I was like, I either need to like become an adult and get a job, or I need to be like, I'm doing music for the rest of my life. And that kind of song was like, that's it. It's like, I know I'm not there yet, but I know that's where I'm gonna be and I need to be, and I'm gonna keep doing it till I am there. And that was kind of like the first time that I just like totally wrote about that kind of feeling. But most of the time I try to kind of use one aspect of it and then make up a totally different story, make myself seem more interesting than it actually is.
No, yeah, dude. Thanks for sharing that shit. I mean, like, I definitely get that, man. I mean, there's some times in music, and I think this is a good kind of segue into like, the difficulties of being a musician, following your dreams, and also kind of, I don't want to say like living a regular life, but like there's bills that gotta get paid. There's pressure that comes from family, friends, and I think there's sacrifices that come with being a musician. And really, I feel like musicians who are in bands, I'd almost consider them like entrepreneurs, because there's so many sacrifices you need to make. You need to go out, you need to book gigs, you need to make sure you play at the venue right. Your training is really just practicing for us, right? And then also, figuring out, okay, at some point, in any business that's going, you're like, shit, is this for me? Like
Right.
I'm putting my heart is in it, but does it make sense financially? Do you guys have you guys ever like really gone through that struggle, or do you guys find that is something you run into today?
I mean, like there's so much that you have to be good at as an independent musician. Whereas like it's really easy to look at other people in the industry that have teams of like dozens of people behind it, like helping with everything all on the way, and comparing yourself to that. And I think that like sometimes like it's important to remember that like, like Chris and I are like we're just two people. Like, we could try to generate all the content like that we can. Like we can write the songs, we could record the songs, we can practice the songs, we can produce them, arrange them. Like there's just like a million things that you have to be good at. But like, like the few people that like you do surround yourself with, like we have a recording engineer that like, we really trust and enjoy working with. And, like having the relationships that we have with Kay and Eric in the band, like to like take things to them and like, rearrange them, like to make them work. Like, I feel like you have to like just lean into those relationships, like, in those times, like when it is like feeling tough to get back on track. Like, And I think like kind of how like Chris was talking about like in that song, it's like there are points where you hit a crossroads and you have to kind of just like put your head down and power through like those feelings just like any entrepreneur would.
So do you guys I think this is a good topic too to kind of get into. Do you guys work any side jobs to kind of help support like your music, and if so, like what do you guys do?
You want to knock yours out first? You want me to go?
Oh, you man.
I teach lessons.
Sick.
I
Yeah.
try to freelance as a mix engineer, as a ghostwriter. Using those online websites where you kind of just look to work with people. Starting to intern at a studio in Manhattan this upcoming week. Just trying to. I don't want to go back to doing something that's not music because I know I'm not happy doing that, and I'd rather put happiness first than money, which isn't always good for the bills. But
No, good for you, bro. Fuck that. I'm doing the same shit, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulations, bro. I'm really happy for you.
thank you.
And if nobody said it, I'm really fucking proud of you as well.
Yeah, thank you, dude. I'm lucky that I have a supportive family and friends that don't make me feel like that's the wrong choice too. That's a big part of it.
And how about you, Mike?
Right on. Yeah, I'm super fortunate to like I work a full-time job, but it's predominantly virtual. Like it definitely helps to give me like a lot
Mike's
of
the man.
flexibility in my life. I yeah, I'm doing like some like project management type stuff for Amazon.
Sweet.
Actually like super interested in the stuff that I'm doing too. Like when I went to business school, I definitely found I was passionate in like sustainability and futurism, and I get a good blend of those things in my job. So I'm definitely very appreciative to like have that balance in my life.
That's sick. That's sick. And how about the other guys in the band? Do they also work any other jobs besides that?
Kay is also like a full-time working musician. He teaches, he gigs. You know what drummers are, man. He's in like 8 different bands. And then Eric's a recent graduate of college. He's looking for jobs at the moment. So yeah. We all got that's part of the struggle of getting together and rehearsing. Like we all got separate lives outside the band too. The band's not the full-time thing yet. So
So what advice would you guys give to any other bands who are trying to get to a level or at least the same direction that you guys are going at?
I honestly would say like, and I feel like the most important thing in art, just in general, is like you can't fake it. Like you just have to be genuine in everything that you do. Like try hard because like you want to try hard, but like don't try hard for any other reasons other than because like you love it like so much, and that like those highs are just like the moments of euphoria that like you live for. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. Like I just feel like sometimes maybe there's people that are out there doing it for the wrong reason, like maybe trying to impress people or like just like hearing the sound of their own voice like up on stage. But like, you have to do it because you love it, and if you don't love it, like that like novelty like is gonna run out. Because like I think that there's an extent of truth to that. Like I think objectively, you walk into a venue, there's a really cool band on stage, and people are like enamored by that. Like they're like, wow, it's like really fucking cool, But then like if that person is coming to all your shows and sees you 5 days in a row, like one by one, like the novelty like will wear off. Like at the end of the day, like you're just like you have to just be like a genuine person too. I don't know. Maybe that's shitty advice.
no, I think that's real advice. I feel like mine would be like you just gotta like understand what you're after. Like it's kind of like little victories with this. I think that's something that we as a band have been good at. It's like, yeah, when we did our EP release show, we sold out the Saints and we did everything we strived to do, but that's a 150 person cap room. That's not selling out MSG. There's always that next step, that next level. You gotta enjoy what you accomplish, but you always got to be looking ahead if that's what you're striving to do. If you want to kind of just be, like the band that's playing in the basement and expressing yourself and doing the songs that you like, then like that's great. Do that because you love it, and you just kind of got to understand what you want out of it because you got to be able to enjoy it. You can't be just doing it because you think it's cool, like he was saying.
Yeah, and like you have to lean into like why you like it. like for sure. You know, like I think like it is. I don't know. Like I feel like it's a pet peeve of mine when like I don't know, people are doing it like for somebody else. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
People can pick up on sincerity. I always feel like the thing that I'm most proud about with Moonwater is that we're always like genuine. You know, like all of our songs might have different emotions, but it's always very sincere and genuine to whatever that song's trying to say. And I think you can tell when somebody's kind of just doesn't have that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the feelings, you know, as musicians, like all we do is feel, you know, and
Yeah, a little
especially,
too much.
yeah, no, I get that too, you know, especially when it comes to, you know, I'm sure you've had one of these type of moments where you're kind of all just like playing, picking at your instruments. Someone's playing one beat and the other one kind of just picks up along, and then it starts moving together like that. Or even like the absolute like kind of like syzygy that comes with playing like all together when a big moment hits, and then you get like goosebumps all over yourself from your own playing. You know what I'm talking
Totally.
about? Like, and you're on stage and the crowd is giving you energy. You're giving energy back. And it's definitely one of those things. Cause even have you guys ever like made a mistake on stage at all, or mixed up
hell
a
yeah.
lyric,
Of
or
course.
like? So
Too many times.
do you guys remember any time where it was kind of like, oh shit, like, or did you guys pretty? Because sometimes I realize with like musicians who are a little bit more talented, they know how to like kind of pick up the pieces together. Usually when something fucks up, but sometimes it's just like, all right, guys, we're gonna restart that one real quick.
I don't think we've ever restarted a song, but like he said, literally the first song we ever played in front of an audience started with like me having a big guitar part, and I played like 8% of that guitar part before my guitar just crapped out. And mind you, I got like 3 like distortion pedals going into like my tube amp, so it's just like like mic'd up and everything. So like there was no hiding behind that, and I was just like, oh my god, I gotta figure out which one of these cables is not plugged in the right way or which one. So that's the way we started off this band's career. So there's been plenty of mistakes since, but you don't forget that one.
I honestly feel like we like the band that like does a pretty good job though of like hiding those mistakes or like making the same mistake twice so it doesn't sound like a mistake. I have to be totally honest, like in like doing live performances in middle school and high school, like peak of puberty, like singing,
Yeah.
like I feel like I just have like just scars of like where like nothing like it like whatever like if my philosophy now is like if we fuck up on stage, like people can point and laugh. Like I don't care. Like you know, it's probably not going to be as bad as like you know me like my voice cracking like 15 times like in a cafe when I'm 14. You know, it's just like I don't know. It's like the battle wounds. It's like
Yeah, you can't care about it too much because chances are nobody that's watching you can do what you're doing up there. So you got to kind of just keep that mentality.
yeah, and like you know, I remember we played a bar show like semi recently. I sung like the first line of the song. And like Chris had like whispered like something under his breath to me that like I just thought was like so funny. And I just could not for the life of me remember the second line.
That was funny.
And then like I was like, all right, I'm gonna just like do it again.
You're right. That is the only time we've ever restarted a song.
And then yeah, it was like a line in. And then like I did it again. And then I was like laughing harder that time. And I was like, you know, like fuck it. You know, like whatever. And like that's the thing, like, you know, if whatever people like walk out, like whatever, like that's fine.
It was a cover, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know, we're honestly just having fun, you know.
So what kind of what are your favorite bands to cover, or like what are some of your favorite songs to cover?
So we like for a little background, right? Like when live music came back, like we were still working on like this new EP that we put out relatively recently.
Yeah.
But like we kind of just wanted to keep the momentum going. Like we had just moved to Jersey City, Hoboken area. And it kind of wanted to like just develop like a little bit of like a following in New York. So we started playing these like really fun like bar shows basically. I don't know if you've heard of the Red Lion on Bleecker Street. It's like a popular like music like cover bar. Like they basically do live music from like I think like noon to like 4 a.m. every day.
That's sick, yeah.
So whatever, like people want to hear live music, like they just go and you know, like we do our originals, and it is a ton of fun to get like a, you know, like a response from people that are there to hear covers, but like they like the originals and like they're responding to that. It's cool. And it's funny because like I was always under the impression that like when you play bar shows that people wanted to hear like classic rock songs, but like I'm realizing now that like the people that are at those bars, like they really want to hear like the late 90s, 2000s, like 2010s, like what we call like throwbacks now.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, we play like some Neon Tree songs like Animal and Everybody Talks, and you know, like people just completely go crazy for like Mr. Brightside and When You Were Young by the Killers. And yeah, I don't know, like we do some like old like Guitar Hero songs and things like that. I don't know, like I kind of like going like a little bit like off the board with like the songs that we choose. Like you kind of want to like keep people like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes you go to a bar, it's like, you know, all the like bar bands are like playing the same songs. Like, you know, we play like the Drake and Josh theme, like whatever, just like weird, you know.
Yeah, I think people love like, you know, different, like a little bit of taste of like, you know, like not everything, but like at least like if it stays within like the same world a little bit. And you could reach out a little bit. There's a bar called Just Jake's that's in Montclair.
Yeah.
And like
I've heard of it.
we're always like, actually me and our other friend Brendan, like we're always getting like lit over there, you know, and it's great because, you know, it's the same songs, like, you know, that they, like some bands play the same songs, and it's cool. Like, I don't know, sometimes when you get some of these covers bands, they'll play the whole song. I don't necessarily like love the whole song all the time. I kind of like it when it transitions a little bit.
Those are some real cover bands right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When they transition, it's always fun. And I'm totally like a Fall Out Boy, like My Chemical Romance type. Like I grew up with those songs, so every time what's that one? Am I more than you? I go crazy. And if I'm drunk, bro, I'm like, oh my god, let's get it, guys.
Hell yeah.
You know?
I want to do like Teenagers by MCR, but I don't think any of us could sing that.
That would be great.
Yeah, but you know, I think like that's like one thing. And you know, actually, speaking of which, I should say, if Just Jake's is watching this, Ant's been trying to get us a show there for a while,
what's
so
up?
call me on my cell phone.
Yo, dude, I'll do my best to get into
Let's
the
go.
contest. Hell yeah, dude. Let's get you guys into Just Jake's.
Hell yeah, why
That'd
not?
be crazy. And we could get a whole bunch of people there. We get lit.
Yeah.
We get super lit. So what is it? Do you guys remember your guys' like favorite show playing, or like a moment where you're like, yo, I'm never gonna forget like this moment forever?
Probably the EP release show, right? That was
Yeah,
just,
so
like,
it's like the
we
top of
like
mine.
because we spent so much time planning that, and we're like, you know, we'd love to do the same because we think we can sell it out. And it's like, if we put these songs out ahead of time before the show, instead of like the show the day the song comes out, or like the night before the songs come out, it's like they might know it. You know, that'll make them respond to it more. And like, I feel like just everything we set out to accomplish, which was months in advance, happened. We sold it out. People were singing our songs back to us, with us.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You know, all you could see was faces. You know, you couldn't see the end of the room because all the people were just filled in. And looking back on some of the songs that we did at that show, it definitely wasn't our best performance, but I just think
Hell no. The enthusiasm was there.
the enthusiasm, just the fact that we accomplished everything we wanted to. I remember like I got off stage and I think I just like puked like 3 times because I think I just like blacked out and was like so hyped up that I just like got sick. It was like the most ridiculous thing ever. Like I don't think I had a single drink that night. I just like was tossing up water because I was just so like excited and happy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I don't know what else has come close.
I'll say though, like an honorable mention for like a non-original show. We played a show a couple weeks back from it was 1 to 3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It was like the latest show that we ever played.
Yeah, that's
But like the energy in the room from like the very first song, like dude, like I was dripping sweat 30 seconds into the first song, and like I literally like sweat through my clothes. Like it was just like we didn't take like one break. Like it was just like a total like
2 hours. Of just,
literally like everything that like our bodies could like give. Like we were just
you gave.
so fun. Yeah.
I actually used the guitar that I used for that show to teach lessons yesterday, and I think it was the first time I used that guitar since that show. And I like was playing, and I was just like, there's just like globs of sweat like stuck onto the guitar. I was like rubbing off the sweat. I saw like the brass, because I have like brass on the bridge of the guitar, was like looking like it was like tarnished a little bit. I'm like, that's probably from sweat. I was like, this is disgusting. But that's just how that show was. It was like unreal.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Sweet. So before we get, I got some questions about you guys' music, and I definitely guys want you to talk to me about some of that. But before we get into that, for one more kind of general question, do you guys, because you talked about being excited and throwing up and everything, and I find myself doing the same thing, because
Sure.
even though I think at this point, I think I've definitely at least recorded more than like 50 podcasts at this point, but it's funny because it never gets old for me. I don't know if I looked it before this, but I get so nervous before every podcast.
Really?
And it isn't until like I really get into it where I'm like, yeah, we're chill, bro. Like, you know, I'll just be
Sure.
myself, because, you know, like it's funny. You said something really nice before when you were just like, oh, like you seem like you know natural at doing this. And to be honest, it's just I'm just naturally curious. I just like to
Yeah,
and
it's
the
great.
fact like sitting with other musicians. I mean, it's cool when they're not musicians, because then I'm even more curious. But like sitting with other musicians, and especially when I get to experience their music, see what you guys have done, like some of the music videos you guys have done as well, and just being like, wow, they're also creative. You know what I mean? And seeing how
yeah.
people
Thank
work
you.
and function, and seeing you guys, like, it's almost like for me, like it feels like and I don't mean this like in a I don't mean to say in a bad way. I don't mean to say this in like a weird way, but it almost feels like every time somebody comes here, it almost feels like a celebrity, right? 'Cause
Right,
it's almost
sure.
like you see someone on TV, and it's like when you see them in real life for the first time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for me, that's always when I'm opening up the glass door upstairs,
I know what
right?
you're saying.
And I'm like, oh shit, I saw these guys, and I was like, and now they're here at the studio. Oh shit,
that's cool,
And I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
when we start coming down here, that's when my mind races, because then it's like, oh, it's really cool and everything, and then it's like, oh shit, I gotta do a podcast with these motherfuckers, bro. Like, I better get my shit together. And even today, I'm like, there's a different dynamic now, because there's three of us sitting here,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So I'm like, damn. I was like, well, I don't like I have to make sure if Mike's talking too much, and then I gotta make
course.
sure Chris is getting in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, make
And if-
sure.
And if Chris is not talking enough, or if Chris is talking too much, I gotta get Mike in there. You know what I mean? So you know, it's a fun thing. But back to my original question. Sorry, I go on like little rambles there.
I like that
sometimes.
one.
What do you guys do to deal with, like, do you guys still deal with some of that stage fright before you get onto a show? And if you do, or if you ever get nervous, like, what do you do to deal with those emotions?
I was saying it before. I don't get nervous anymore because all I'm doing is playing guitar, and I know how to play guitar. I don't know. I mean, I welcome the the opportunity for there to be something to make me nervous to play on stage. That probably means we're doing something right, you know.
Sweet,
So-
man.
It's just genuinely fun. And like I just feel like we're at a point where like again like I don't really think that we could like screw up so bad that like we can't come back from it.
Yeah.
And even if we do, then like it'll just be like a really funny story that we can laugh about after.
Sick,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go straight into your music, guys. And one of the first things I want to talk about, you recorded this. I'm gonna butcher the name of the song. Ghost
Yeah.
Friends,
Ghosts.
Ghost, yeah.
just Ghost in general. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think there's another song I knew that was called Ghost Friends.
There's a lot of songs with Ghost in it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about writing that song and like the whole process going from writing the song and then ended up like making the music video for it.
I like that one because Mike had that song. It had a certain vibe, and I would be like, I think this chorus is so good, but like the rest of the song, just like it's just not doing it for me. And that's what I was saying with like Mike already had like this whole song. He had that whole song written. Like I don't think anything's changed, but I was just like, it's not what it should be. It's not reaching its potential. And I remember one night just like listening to like the demo that we had made, and I was like getting red in the face. I remember just being like so annoyed. I'm like, this song is so close to being good. And then I just reproduced it. And then that's what I'm saying. Like now we had this new way of going about it. We brought it to Eric and Kay, and it came to life. And then it became what it is now.
So like Chris is being humble. We had the song, like there were definitely like pieces that were there. Like I'm still like super happy like lyrically, melodically, like with the song. But it's funny, I didn't know that Chris played keyboard. And then he made a demo, and like, you know, like the song like predominantly starts like with keyboard. It's like this very like 80s like synth Bon Jovi kind of sounding thing. And I was like, what the fuck, Chris, you play keyboard? And then like whatever, like we played it and we were just like, that's the way that like the song was supposed to sound. And like that's like really what I mean. And like I think definitely like what like Chris has like helped condition me is that like we could always do better. Like, you know, like this song, it doesn't have to be done. Like we just like revisit it with like a fresh set of ears, and like that turned into like what it is now. And I think still out of our originals, it's probably the one that people respond to the most.
And if I'm not wrong, I forget which song is most popular on your Spotify. Is it Ghost?
Ghost, yeah.
So how does that feel to see the song like do so well? And like, do you feel like? Because I also feel this when I talk to other bands. Because bands will be like, "Yo, like we made that song and we really fuck with it, but like this other song of ours is so slept on, like, and we worked so hard on that."
The thing is, like, Ghost was really gaining its popularity during the pandemic, which was kind of frustrating because I was like, man, I would love to be out there like supporting this song right now. It's just hard,
I think we always knew that Ghost was going to be like the most earwormy of the first EP songs. Like we really liked Mary Jane and In My Mind, the other two, but we knew that Ghost was probably going to be the most accessible in terms of its upbeat energy, and it has a great hook that Mike had written in the chorus. But you hope that it's going to sell millions, but you never expect to see people all around the world listening to it, and people that you don't even know sharing it, being like, oh my God, I love this song, and reaching out to you guys and being like, this is one of my favorite songs. I'd love to like ask you guys some questions about it. That never really seems possible, but it's somehow got out into the world. And then a famous YouTuber from Mexico,
right? Yeah.
a famous YouTuber from Mexico like put it on like his top 100 songs playlist.
That's sick.
And he had like almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I was like, dude, like how did we get onto this? Like I have no clue who this guy is. I'm sorry. But that picked us up, I think, like 25,000 streams.
A lot.
And then that, because of that, it starts going out to like Spotify release radars, and it gets onto other algorithmic playlists, and that helps share it. So Ghost was cool because that was the first time that our song had like a micro blow up. And again, like that song's maybe at like 95,000. That's great. That feels awesome. But like at the end of the day, that doesn't move the needle that much. So that there's another level that needs to be gotten to. So
I got that. Respect.
Yeah.
Mad respect. So what do you feel is like one song that you guys have? Like, I don't know necessarily if it has to be like the proudest song, but like, why don't we go like this? A song that you guys love playing the most, the song that you guys feel is the most slept on, and then what kind of gets spicy here? The song that you guys written that you kind of feel like you like the least.
Aha, that's fun. What was the first question? The song that's the most fun to play?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like Mary Jane's kind of fun.
Mary Jane's fun.
I'm like screaming my head off in that song though.
Sweet.
Yeah, just making a fool of myself on stage, basically.
Nah, dude.
I think
letting that vegetable stuff out is always the best. Man.
Yeah.
I think Mary Jane is like maybe one of the most fun to play, but it also might be like the least attached that I am to our songs at the same time.
Yeah,
Because I think it's so different for us. But at the same time, that might be why I'm like the least attached to it.
So we had like a weird phenomenon happen when we went and recorded this last EP. There's a song called "Better Off" on it, and we didn't really love that song going into the studio.
I loved parts of it.
Yeah. No, me too. Like, but like as far like complete song, like I was like, I really don't know how this is gonna turn out. I think like the consensus is like that was my favorite that we recorded on the EP, and like a lot of people have reached out saying that like a couple of my friends actually reached out and said like, I think this is like the best thing that like you've ever released. And I was like, damn, like I wish that like you knew how I felt about it like a couple months ago. But yeah, like that one from like my least favorite is probably my favorite.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like we always felt like In My Mind was the most slept on.
Yeah.
Because that was like the only one off our first EP that like never really did well. Like Mary Jane, we did a 3-song EP first. That one started to get some traction, but In My Mind was always like way behind the bunch, and we were just like, that one is probably the most ambitious. It's a little more, I don't know, experimental and like its dynamics. It's kind of like
There's
two
like
songs
a long,
in one.
Yeah,
But I think
instrumental
like
thing.
musically, we were really proud of that one, and we always had fun playing it live. But it always felt like anyone that I asked, I was like, well, what's your favorite song of ours so far? They'd be like, In My Mind. But I'd be like, yeah, well, why does that one have so much less streams than everyone
I
else?
like though that like we always get different responses to those questions. And like to be honest, we were talking about this on the way over. Because like I don't know that we've really put out a song yet where we're like, this is going to be like the song. Like it's more so like we really love these songs that we wrote and like we want to share them. And like it's been really cool to see like how different people resonate with them. Like I think that like like kind of to your point about like bands saying like what the next stuff they have coming, like I think that we've challenged ourselves to be like, all right, like if we want people to listen to these songs that we love, like we can really expand our audience by creating music that like might like appeal to a larger audience. And like I really do feel like we have a couple of songs that like are very like it's like true to our brand. Like we're not like deviating like from like our passion or like creative preferences. But I do feel like it's something like where we can definitely push those songs as like a single and hopefully like grow some more people
I feel like
towards music.
every time we release something, like 2 days later, we're like, God, I can't wait till we release the next ones because those are going to be even better.
Yeah.
That's sweet. And how about you guys? I mean, it might be different for each of you, but like, how about like it doesn't have to be like the song you like least, but like what song is like, nah, you know what I mean? Or do you have anything? Because I also understand if it's like not either, because I feel like
The songs that I feel that way about aren't released yet. And like
and it could change,
right, and it can change,
Yeah.
and I hope that it does. Like there are a couple songs we've been sitting on like since the band has started, and we're like, this is like a part away, and like one day it'll get there, and we'll be super stoked to talk about like, yeah, we've been sitting on the song for 5 years,
We're not going to put a song out just for the sake of putting a song out. Like we've been, one of the songs that we worked on the first time we wrote together has never been released, and it's been played live, and it's been reborn and reshaped a few times, and we still visit it sometimes. We're like, someday this song's going to come out, but it's not yet because it's not there yet. And we still check on it every once in a while.
True love waits.
Oh yeah, of course. How many songs do you guys like have in the bank? Like, because I know in total of the songs you guys have released, like how many do you
We
guys
have 8
released?
songs out right now, and we refer to our song bench. There's probably about 8 to 10 songs on there.
Yeah, and those are like they're like probably
Those are,
more
like,
complete.
well thought out ideas, like a part or a verse or a bridge away songs too. There's a couple like
There's probably
hooks
like 20
or riffs as well that are kind of just floating around that could be turned into songs.
Sick. So what is a song that you wrote, or like what song on your EP took the least amount of time to write, and which song took the most?
So, Street Clothes. This song is so funny to me because like if you listen to the lyrics and stuff, like it's honestly like kind of random. I wrote that song in one voice memo. Like literally, like I don't think a lyric has changed off of it. Like it was a 3-minute voice memo, and like it was just like stream of consciousness, like first thing that I can think of, and like it hasn't changed since then. Like now, like the production around that song like evolved like a number of times, and like Chris of course like came to the rescue and like made this like badass like production that like matched like kind of that carefree like stream of consciousness like vibe that we were going for. But like I don't know, like that's the thing, like you can agonize about like a song idea for like hours and hours, but like sometimes like the best ideas like literally just like roll off, like even if like you listen back and like it doesn't make like a ton of sense. I've always liked being like a little bit like more vague in like lyrics because I feel like people can attach their own stories to them.
Yeah.
Like Chris taught me this actually. He told me about how he had like a songwriting teacher that said like don't feel like you have to explain like what your song's about, because like people will be like, all right, good for you, but like like, people want to attach their stories and their experiences like to your things, so I feel like in general I've always tried to be like a little vague.
No disclaimers.
Yeah.
Let it speak for itself. Yeah. Okay. I feel like the one that took the longest was probably Better, because that had a lot of different approaches. And like we said, we weren't even that certain about it bringing it into the studio. But the engineer like killed the capturing of the guitars, the drums. We were tuning the drums to the key of each song.
Ooh, nice.
Hours.
So they just sounded.
I know.
They sound,
Yeah, hours.
They sound
Good for
immaculate.
you.
Every time we listen to that song, I'm just like, the drums sound so fucking good in this song.
Shout out, Kay.
The amount of guitar layers in that song just sounds so great. There's an amazing video, totally candid,
Yeah.
of
I was
me
gonna say.
recording the guitar parts, and I did not realize Mike was recording me, and I was just sitting there like in shock.
Arms on his side.
Like in shock, like you could just see it on my face, and I like looked at Mike and I was like, "This is so many fucking guitars." I didn't realize he was recording me, and he made it sound massive and amazing. And I mean, what did we do? We changed the pre-chorus,
Yeah.
and there's a guitar solo in the song that like I would always kind of just bullshit when we would play it live, and I was like, I think I like wrote a part that was cool. I don't know, like nobody had ever heard it. I had never even really heard it in the context of the song. It was just kind of like knowing the chord progression, and I thought it came out sounding great. The guitars sound massive, and we were like, this song sounds way better than we thought it ever would.
Really stoked about how the song came out.
Sick. Talk to me about your guys' studio life, man. Like, talk to me about your sound engineer. Like, how did you find him, and how did you know like he was the one? Was there a moment like that, or did you guys go through other sound engineers before him?
No.
No, yeah. Like honestly, I feel like sometimes like it just like clicks. We work with this guy Justin at Mount Moon Recording in Highland Park, and yeah, it's just like
Kay was an intern there.
yeah.
That's how we met him.
Like I don't know. It's just like a judgment-free like creative space. You know, it's like we really trust his ideas and his intuition and like his listening ear, and you know, I know that like when he has an idea, like he also trusts us to like go find that part, you know, like I feel like I can like imagine like how like for a producer, like if you have like this idea, it's like, you know, like you want to like go like find that idea. But like I feel like Justin does like such a good job of like pointing us in like a direction of a good idea and like letting us like go find it. And then like, you know, he just like helps to bring our songs to life in that way. And like, we're just like so appreciative to have that dynamic, because like you can like I can't overstate like the value in that. Like it needs to be like a safe place where like you could be vulnerable to like go like seek out ideas that like I don't know, like might be outside of your normal way of thinking. Like ultimately, like that's why we want to have another set of ears on it, like when we're printing that final product.
I think as an engineer, you can understand this. We have a tendency of when we go into the studio to come in with like already like complete demos. And sometimes musicians are just like, oh, but that doesn't sound like what the demo sounds like. I want it to sound like this. And Justin's like good at being like, that's cool, man. But like, what if we do this? Like
Right.
he's good at like prodding us away from like, and I try to be conscious of that too. I try not to be too stuck to the demo, but like he's good at being like, hey man, like I think, again, same thing with Mike. He took a video of me doing the guitar solo for Better, and Justin's like, why don't you like add a little like improvised like lick right here in this part of the solo, and this is gonna open it up some more. And he's just he's good at being very attentive to the project. And I mean, you know how like the connection is when like the engineer and artist have like a good relationship versus where you feel like you guys are like on totally separate pages. It's just like the worst. So.
Yeah, no, the guy sounds like a pro, because let me tell you, it is, as a sound engineer, yo, making suggestions and making them right, and not like, I don't really think people like to compare like musicians and be like, oh, you don't want to like, you know, stroke their ego, or like not stroke their ego, but you don't want to like fuck with like their music because you might like hurt their ego or something like that. But it's less of like when you're a musician also and you understand, it's like those demos that we make, they're a baby. You know what I mean? It's our child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like handing your child to not necessarily a stranger, but it's like, yo, here's my child. You know, like, you know, do your best. And it's like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? So I definitely get them, man. It's tough. So how was it like? How many hours did it take in the studio to finish your guys' like most recent EP?
A lot of hours. It was like probably two 12-hour days per track with how much time we spent like.
Yeah, I mean, we go by instrument, you know. We lay down the drums, then we lay down the bass, then we lay down the guitars, and then...
Did we do all the vocals in one day? No? Thank God.
Yeah, it probably took 2 days to do all the drums.
Yeah.
Bass, you know, bass isn't that hard. Bass goes by quickly, but it took a couple of days I mean, not a couple. I think once we had drums and bass down, then we started doing like song by song.
It took six days.
Was that it?
4 songs in 6 days, 12-hour days.
Was that all? But it was over a span of like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
'cause we
yeah,
can't,
yeah,
Like
it
rattle
was.
off that many days in a row.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys? Did any of you guys like? I know you guys are getting. I'm getting the vibe off you guys that you guys know your shit. But like, do you guys ever have any like hard times in the studio where shit's just not coming out right? And if so, like, how do you deal with that?
Not really, but like we know how to like walk away and come back.
There have been times where like I'm just like not vocally sounding good, and like I literally have just like whatever it takes. Like I think the vocals in Mary Jane, I was like in my underwear, like running around the
Yes.
live room,
He was
like
in his
just doing
boxers.
anything to like get energy. I was like doing push-ups and sit-ups and like
Singing
literally
on-
like straddling the
Singing
mic,
on
like
an
it was like
SM7 just like this, just like
yeah, no, like literally
screaming in
just,
his underwear.
like sometimes like I don't know, like I feel like sometimes you just have to get like a little like weird in the studio because like I don't know, at the end of the day it's like the song's only as good as the way that you capture it like in that moment. So like if you're not on your A game, like you gotta, I feel like either like Chris said, take a step away and come back, or you know.
There was I think it was Mary Jane trying to learn the guitar harmony part of like
Yeah.
after the first chorus. I like was learning a part on spot, and I like just was not getting it. And I was just like getting frustrated at myself because I'm like, why can't I do this? I was just like, Justin, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm just gonna go like to the bathroom. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna come back, and like I'm gonna get this. And that's what happens. I think we're all like talented enough on our instruments and experienced enough to know like when we're not at our best, which really doesn't happen that often for us, honestly, between the four of us. Luckily, I mean, like it's pretty amazing that it doesn't happen more often. We know how to just like walk away and be like, you know what, like let's take 5, let's go to Walgreens and get some Skittles, and we'll come back and we'll reattack it.
Like I do think though in general, I think the band does a really good job of just kind of like keeping the ego at the door.
Sick. Oh,
Yeah.
sick.
Like and to be honest, like as a musician, think like maybe like a pet, like I don't want to say pet peeve because like there's two sides to it, right? Like people should be very proud of what they're doing. Like it takes guts to be vulnerable like with your feelings and make it into art and share it with people. But I feel like it's also like really important to not like over index on like the importance of what you're doing. Like I feel like sometimes like people will try to like over romanticize like what they're doing and just really let it inflate their ego to a point where it's like just hard to have a conversation with them, you know. And like I think like even with songwriting, like one of the things that I love about like working with Chris is like it's never like what Chris wrote or what I wrote and then like that's like the deciding factor of like what goes into the song. It's just like what's the better idea. And I think that there are people that are possessive about the songs that they write. And like you said, like songs are their baby and they don't want to deviate from that. Like I personally, like one of my favorite things in the world is writing a song and like sending it to Chris and seeing like whatever he's going to do to it. Like I hope that he chops it up into a million pieces and that it's borderline unrecognizable. Cause like he's got a set of ears that like I'm never going to have on that. And I think like, you know, that goes to anything. You know, it's like writing songs for other people. It's like you can give people a direction or like an idea of the song, but like I've always loved like hearing what people can do with the art that you create and having their own spin on it, you know. And again, it's not for everybody, but I think like that exercise is something that we've done so many times where it's like, you know, it's really never like a, you know, me versus so and so. It's just like everybody on the same team, and like that's how it should be.
That's when music is its best, when you're like competitive with yourself. Like you want to know that you got to keep getting better at your craft, but like you should never be trying to like outright the person in the room. Or if you are, it's just to like make the song even better. But like, you know, when you're trying to like, yeah, like you said, like almost be possessive and be like, nah, man, like this is like my song. Like this is what I think we should do. Like it's probably not going to make the best result.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, guys, we're coming pretty close to the end of the podcast, but I do have a couple more questions for you guys. So please feel free to take as long as you want with your answers.
Right on.
A lot of bands, I feel like, all right, there's a common theme that I've had with a lot of people who come in here, artists, and it seems to be more with the hip hop community because I feel like bands in general playing in just specifically New Jersey, right? They have a better time at finding venues and places that will like not necessarily accept them more, but like that you have more people show up. How do you feel about the venue scene in Jersey comparative to like New York? And do you think you could have a career just playing in Jersey?
It depends on what your ambitions are. You know, like the truth is, like if you want it bad enough, you can line up enough cover shows on a weekly basis where like you can easily put food on the table. You know,
Yeah, I think there's plenty of people making a living off like the Asbury Park circuit.
yeah. Um, I think like you might like wear out your fans or your friends or your family if you're doing like these kind of like pay to play like original things like every single week. I think like you got to space those out. But it depends. Like I think like some people just say like music's my life, and if it's like playing cover shows, like then I'm happy with that. I think I don't want to speak for Chris, but I feel like we've always like gravitated more towards like the original stuff. Like
Never settle.
I'd rather like struggle through the original stuff
No
than
offense to cover musicians.
yeah,
Oh,
like
hell yeah,
like
hell
totally no offense. Like like it's just like not for everybody. Like I feel like maybe when I'm older, like it'll be something cool to do like once in a while for fun. But I don't know. Just feel like you gotta like strike the iron while it's hot. Like you're only young for so long, and yeah.
Yeah, I wish we really only have experience performing in Asbury or New York City, and Seton Hall, but like
Go Pirates.
sure, we haven't experienced anything else. Like finally this summer we're playing at Music Fest in Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That's like a really pretty big music festival. I think like will
Yeah?
there's
That's sick.
obviously not
Good.
anywhere near
We
us.
gotta go
but,
say
like,
what's up to Willie.
Yeah, right on. What's up, Willie?
Shout out Willie.
Let us play a song with you. But that's kind of like the first time that we're playing in an area outside of like our comfort zone, and that's kind of what we're striving to do. It's like can we prove to ourselves that we can play in areas that we've never been before and still get some people in the room. So we're kind of always looking for the next challenge, and that's just our mentality. Some people are totally happy playing all of the New York City bars, getting those paychecks and getting to do music for a living, or Asbury Park, and that's awesome. But I think for Mike and I, we're always kind of looking for the next challenge.
Like to answer your question though, like people, I mean, you absolutely could do it, and I honestly would make the argument that it's probably easier to do so in Jersey than it is in New York City. Like without going down a rabbit hole about this, like it really seems like, it's like every band everywhere on a tour wants to stop in New York City. And like, I feel like there's like a handful of, like promoting companies that kind of have like a monopoly over like, the venues that everybody wants to play at. So like outside of like even cover shows, it's like kind of like managed by bookers that will book 15 different venues, so I think probably a little bit easier to crack into like the Jersey space. Like they're willing to work with, I mean, I saw it firsthand, like being in like younger bands, like, 12, 13 years old, which is like, New York City definitely wouldn't have the patience for that.
Side question that's not one of my questions that I'm going to end the podcast with, but
Sure.
in this topic, do you guys see yourselves staying in Jersey for the long haul?
I mean, at least where we are in Jersey, like New York City is a really damn good place to be. Like there's just so much going on musically. And I feel like I'm not a huge LA fan. Like I spent a decent amount of time in LA, but I don't know.
Music kind of pigeonholes you to certain parts of the country.
Right.
And for our kind of vibe, it's pretty much New York or LA. I was originally looking to live in LA when I graduated college. I like had my name on a lease for a house and everything, and it didn't work out, and I came back home instead. But
I wouldn't have met Chris.
that's true. We wouldn't have been here right now. But
Well, I'm glad you guys are.
Right, we
right.
would have not been Ayoo chilling right now.
for real.
I'm glad you plug the podcast.
Yeah,
Ayoo
Ayoo
chill.
chill. Let's fucking go, baby.
So one of my second questions of two more questions I have. So second and last question I got is, what is your guys's? You spoke about the difference between each band's goals and ambitions. What are some goals and ambitions you guys have for the band, and where do you guys see yourselves going in the next couple of years?
Can I give like my hippie response to that first?
Hippie? Yeah, sure.
To be totally honest, like because we get this question at least about. It's like people are like, oh, like how do you know like when you've made it, or like what is it that you want? Like honestly, like I just want to like keep having fun and enjoying it, and like loving the songs that we're putting out and being like proud of that, and like to this point like I am, and I think that takes a lot of different shapes, it'd be super cool if like people were singing our songs back to us in a a huge venue, but it's also really cool when they're singing it back to us in a small venue too, and I think that like instead of like working backwards from like an end goal and saying like we want to sell out Madison Square Garden or something, because some people say like yeah, like that's how I'll know like when I made it. It's more so just like just appreciating like what it is in the present, and like just like pursuing that relentlessly, and then like what happens like I feel like that's really like all that I could ask.
Word.
I'm even more hippie than you, because it's like totally true for me. It's just like if I can be happy making this music and pay the bills, then like I'm not gonna get greedy, man. Like that's the dream.
Sick. I think I could relate to both of those answers. Hella. I feel the same way about this podcast.
Right.
Like, I quit all my jobs back in January and started pursuing this full time.
Me too.
Congrats, dude.
January,
Thanks.
February, same
Thanks. I'm still hustling the side hustle too, guys. I
let's go.
understand. You know,
Of
what I
course.
mean?
Hear you.
Earlier this morning, I was weed whacking this giant,
Let's go.
house and stuff, and sweating my ass off, and like, he was like, "Work harder," and I'm like, "Oh fuck," you know what I mean? I got a podcast to record later. Don't put me in a bad mindset. Sick, guys. I love those two answers. I really do, and I appreciate it. My last question for you guys. In every musician's, life or artist's life, you come to a point at some point, and hopefully, I mean, I think every musician's wish is never to get to this point, but at some point where you're just like, damn, like, I'm not sure this is for me, or I'm not sure if this is gonna work out. Whether it was younger or older, if you could go back to yourself where you felt like you were at your lowest point, what advice would you give to yourself to keep on pushing forward?
It's a really good question. You got one queued up, or
I mean, not queued up, but I'm thinking. I mean, I feel like I kind of did this when I wrote our song "What Could Be," and it was just me telling myself like, you've worked too damn hard to like make it this far, and it's like if you're gonna quit, you'll never like be happy doing that. So like if you really work hard enough, you're gonna find a way eventually. And I mean, what's the lyric? Someday, somehow, some way, I know I'll find the light shining bright in the back of my mind. It's like if you just keep doing it, you're eventually gonna find some way to do it. But you got to be willing to put in that work to do it. And I feel like every day, every month when the rent check's a little later or whatever else, you're like, there's something that like you got to be on to the next thing, but you're not giving up on it. So you kind of always got to be hungry to be a creative, to be a business owner or anything. So
yeah, and like I would say in those like low moments, like it's kind of it's easy to lose sight of like why you're doing something if you like are too in the weeds about it, and like you don't zoom out. And I think like the way I've always thought about it is like, I write music and I perform music and I love music, because like that's just always how I've expressed myself like ever since I'm a kid. And like I've learned to cope with like every single emotion, every bad day, like every like huge loss like in my life, like through music. And you know, I just, you know, like you said, like sometimes people are like, all right, like maybe this isn't for me. The thing is, like, it's just like I don't know any other way. Like, you know, like that's just like how I express myself is writing music. And you know, if it's with this band, if it's writing songs for other people, if it's, you know, me being old and just writing songs on my piano and keeping them in a journal and like they never leave that, like at the end of the day, like that's just you know, like I'm always going to be writing music because like that's just like what I know, like that like that's how I cope with emotion.
You do music because you have to, not because you want to. And I remember in college when I would be working my job, and you know, I'd be working with a bunch of people who are not going to Berklee College of Music, and they'd be like, "Why are you going to Berklee?" And I'd be like, I mean, it's not because I thought it was a good idea. Like, sure as hell not a good idea to pay all this money to go to music school, but it's like that's what I needed to do. Like, when you really love it, you like don't even have a choice. You just know you gotta figure it out some way.
And it's true, like, you know, like I honestly feel like, you know, maybe there's been times in my life where like I needed to get past something, and like I just knew, like, you know, I'll write a song on it about it, and I'll move on from it like the way that I always have. But until I do, like, you know, I'm going to be hung up on it until I figure out how to, you know, express it. And like, it's a huge curse sometimes, but it's mostly like the biggest blessing. You know, like it really is easy to, I don't know, like it's a very gratifying thing to be able to put like your feelings to paper, because I don't know. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a productive outlet to do that. You know, not everybody has that, so I have to be appreciative of it.
It is a privilege.
Yeah.
Mike, Chris, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It's been an absolute blessing talking to you guys. I've learned so much. Rest of Moonwater, I gotta meet you guys at some point. Don't think just because they came here, all right, representing and shit, all right, y'all fucks need to come. I didn't even curse that much on this podcast, so like,
Get it out now.
Get it out.
Get over here. Get this motherfucking shit over here, bro. What are you doing? This would have been. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Totally. And Bethel, like just wanted to say, you know, like just hearing you talk about everything you're doing with the podcast, like, you know, you have a ton to be proud of. And again, I know I said off the camera earlier, but like you're a real natural when it comes to interviewing people. And it really was such a pleasure talking to you. So
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. It means so much from the bottom of my heart, guys.
Totally.
Guys, let the people know where they can find you, social medias. Let the people know.
All right, right on. I do this at the shows. You can find us on the internet at moonwatermusic.com. Don't go to moonwater.com. It's a blog completely devoted to this guy taking pictures of like octopi.
Yeah, it's sick.
Dead-
It
it's
is sick, but
Pretty sick.
go to moonwatermusic.com after that.
Moonwatermusic.com. And then you can find us on Instagram at moonwaterband.
Or TikTok, or Facebook. Hell, even Twitter. We don't really use Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't follow us on Twitter.
Yeah. Maybe it'll motivate me to use the Twitter. But
TikTok and Instagram, Facebook.
yeah.
Back, guys. And ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know the biz. Ayoo Podcast on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I said this on every podcast. I don't know who's gonna do it first. We have an OnlyFans because I thought it would be fucking hilarious,
yeah.
bro. I thought it'd be hilarious.
Let's
So,
go.
If you the first person to subscribe to the OnlyFans and DM me a picture of them doing it, we'll get a free t-shirt and some stickers. We don't even have merch like that yet, so y'all gonna get that shit out of my ass. I don't even know how I'm gonna make it happen.
I'm going to get Ant to do it.
That-
Ant, what's
Yeah.
up?
And what's good, dude?
Ant, what's up? Oh my god, and thank you, Ant, for making
Thank you, Ant.
making this happen. Ant Murph, shout out you. And guys, we're done, guys. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Right on. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for having
You
us.
guys.
Thanks.
Sick.
Let's go.
Awesome, guys.
Thanks so much, dude.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It was a
How was it? How was
pleasure.
it, guys?
Oh, awesome.
Great, dude.